Usually when we talk about progress towards our goals and being successful at achieving our goals, we are told that we shouldn't see progress as this upward linear progression, but rather we should see it as a path of ups and downs. So normally we see something like this. This is the linear, unrealistic path of success, and then we have this messy, so-called realistic success. And as much as this is also true, one, it doesn't help you much on a daily basis when you are struggling and feeling demotivated. And two, we're so used to this image that at this point we completely ignore it, especially if you have ADHD. Then everything that it isn't novel anymore just doesn't exist for you. No interest whatsoever, and surely no motivation whatsoever comes from such an image. So what is a more helpful, more efficient way to look at success? For any of this to make sense, we have to first put it into some context. So let's imagine your goal is to start walking 10,000 steps every single day. And let's imagine you decide to track yourself. In that case, your curve, realistically speaking, could look something like this at the beginning. You have time and you have effort. And again, your goal is 10,000 steps per day. And of course, you start on Monday because it's just a moral rule that if you want to start a new habit, you have to start on Monday. Then on Tuesday, you're gonna drop down. You're gonna feel horrible about yourself. So you're gonna do a little bit better on Wednesday, and then you're gonna be completely exhausted and do even worse on Thursday. I'm not trying to demotivate you. I'm trying to show you how it looks like for most people. So when you don't perform perfectly from day one, I'm here to remind you it is how it goes for most people. Nobody starts from 0 to 100. Even people with ADHD who are very excited about new habits, they may perform really good on the first day, if they're lucky on the second day as well, but then eventually they're gonna drop down. So this is realistic. It's not about motivation. It's about making it real so that you don't bitch at yourself. But let's go back to this and zoom in a little bit. Let's add some numbers to this. Let's say we have 7K at first, then we dropped to 3K, we went up to 4K, and then we're down to 2K. During those first days, you're very likely to think, oh my gosh, I cannot stay consistent with anything. One day I'm better, and then the next day it's worse again. Look at those numbers. I really cannot keep up with anything. I'm just so distracted and tired or demotivated. I cannot keep up with my own promises for even 4 days straight. Such a loser. Familiar? Enough realism. Let's now make it more positive. Let's look at that curve a little bit long term. And let's make the ups green and the downs red, because I'm a visual person. A lot of you with ADHD are also visuals, so I think that's gonna be more useful. All right, let's now focus on Wednesday when you did 4,000 steps. And about a week later, you had 4,000 on Saturday, but this time it's in red. And let's move on a bit. If you look at this graph, what you see is that after your first very strong Monday, when you did 7,000 steps, you were kind of in the low numbers for a while. It took you, let's say, 10 days before you hit 7K again. But this is not the most interesting thing. Look at that Tuesday with the 6K in red. If you think about it, during those 10 days when you didn't reach even 7K, let alone anything above 7, and you had one day of 5K, you probably would have loved, you would have dreamed to had 7K. But now, because the 6K comes after a good day of a 7K, it's a failure. It's actually less. You did worse than before. And this is where I want to draw your attention. In the long term, you normally forget where you started from, and you start calling a failure what 2 weeks ago you would have called a success. The whole point here is that as you progress, your failures will be still higher than your successes from the past, because that is the nature, that is the result of consistent work. It's the same with the stock market. In the long term, you have your ups and downs, okay, but the downs never really go below the baseline. If you look 10 years before, the down now is still higher than what it used to be, unless the financial market crashes. So in your case, if you break a leg, yeah, you're gonna go below the baseline. But unless the system crashes, your progress over time will be still increasing, which you're not gonna feel, you're not gonna see, you're not gonna realize unless you actually visualize it. This is why they say to track yourself, because trivial or not, but what gets measured gets improved. And also you get motivated out of this visualization. Oh, and by the way, one more realistic thing here to add is that once you hit a bit of a progress, expect plateau. Expect to stay stuck at a certain moment for a while. This is the realistic way of progress. You do not just climb Mount Everest every single day. You do it once and you're very, very successful if you keep it high for a while. It is also normal to go a little bit lower until you get high again, but staying at this high level for a while, it's amazing. Appreciate it. Tap yourself on the shoulder. You're doing a great job. All right, and we have to redo the ending because there was a fly who dared to land on the camera and my cat was targeting this fly. So I decided to jump on the camera. Nothing is broken, which is the most important thing. But anyway, I did want to end with saying that there are three major factors or ingredients in success: consistency, measuring yourself, and stubbornness. And although consistency comes first, I wanted to start with the measurement because it's just so much more fun to measure yourself and see the visual progress of what you're doing, of your effort. It's much more motivating. However, it is important in the first 1 month to build consistency, and this is why next week I'm gonna talk about this. And you may wonder, why didn't I start with consistency? Because it's kind of boring. Nobody at the beginning wants to just focus on building the habit. The art of building new habits is difficult at first. So I wanted to motivate you first about getting your shit together and then get you through the 3 steps. So next week we're going to talk about why the first 30 days you should only target consistency. Today we spoke about how important it is to measure yourself in order to not only get yourself to succeed but also enjoy yourself more, which is so important, especially if you have ADHD. You have to make fun of the progress. Well, you have to have fun with the progress, not make fun of the progress. You got the point. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.